Hello my friends and welcome back to EVE Online with me, Mark from DadX, and today we're here to talk about low-sec mining in frigates. We're going to start off with this here, Alpha Venture. We're going to see what's going on those sites, both in terms of the rats and the player interaction. I've just actually come in from a mining run. I'm just getting ready for the next little operation we'll be seeing later, but anyway, this is a pretty standard fit. We've got a couple of the Gaussian mining lasers with a 16-kilometer range, and together they're going to minus 290 cubic meters a minute. The probe launchers obviously really for looking for wormholes and gas ops, etc. Pretty irrelevant today, to be honest. In the mid slots we've got the restrained medium shield extender, give us extra hit points, they're good. We've got the survey scanner. That's very optional for mining frigates, but we'll talk about that as and when. And the restrained micro warp drive, just for getting into positions quickly. The restrained versions obviously to reduce the signature radius bloom. Down in the lowest slot we've got a mining laser upgrade 1. It's got heat damage on it. Well, it's not heat damage. I can only assume I've grabbed that off the wreck of a Venture, which I probably just found randomly laying about. In the rigs we've got 2 extenders and 1 EM shield reinforcer just to close the EM hole. In the cargo hold it's only 50 cubic meters, but I have managed to get in enough to switch this Venture from gas mode to mining mode to shooting mode to even an enhanced little scanning mode for in the wormholes at the drop of a hat. Well, at the drop of a hat, at the docking at a station I should say. And in the drone bay we got a pair of Hornets, which is just what we need. Very handy of course against the Serpentis rats. So the fit gives us 3,400 or just over HP, which is not too shabby. It's enough to get us off grid, and we got a mighty 30.4 DPS off the Hornets in the bay. Just check on the lads, is that what we've got in there? Don't want to go out with the wrong drones again, do we? There we are. Right, let's get out. Oh, and by the way, without the sisters probes I've got in the launcher and all the stuff I've got to switch to fit in the cargo hold, this ship actually costs just about 3 mil if you're just going with the basic mining fit that I'm using for this op. I have got pretty much the maxed out alpha skills relevant here, but that isn't really a deciding factor at all. You don't need Tech 2 drones. A couple of decent drones with some reasonably decent drone skills will suffice for any Venture pilot. Anyway, we're off today to a Crocite and Dark Ochre site. I'm after Dark Ochre because I'm after Isogen. I will leave what you choose to mine, whether your priority is the resources or the cost. I think Crocite technically is worth more per cubic meter, but I'm after the materials today. And I'm not going to talk too much about the actual science of the mining itself. You know how to go around a rock and mine it. We're going to talk about what's going on around us, in fact, in terms of both the rats, the local, the D-scan, and how to make sure we're keeping ourselves as safe as possible. And I'm never going to tell you that you're 100% safe, because one day something will go wrong. You're going to lose a ship. It's a Venture. The important thing is to know that you can make the money back, or make the money very quickly, and then you can relax a little bit. But it doesn't take much to keep mining and keep yourself safe, as we shall see. Now, I'm quite local to where I live, which is kind of coincidental. We'll talk a bit more about roaming later. Our first tip, we've run the survey scanner. We can now interact with all of the asteroids straight off of there. So we can lock them, we can orbit them, we can see how much they've got left by rerunning the scanner. My point is there is now no need to have the mining overview tab on whatsoever once you're actively mining. Even if you haven't got a survey scanner, once you've locked an asteroid, why do you need to see all the rest of the asteroids? In this case, as you can see, because it's a very small belt, the rats have appeared on my overview. As we'll see on other sites, that is not the case at all. You're not going to get the warning of rats or another player joining you on grid if your overview's full of asteroids, so do not mine actively with that overview tab on. There you go, we're in operational mode now. The rats are top of the tree. The rats we've got here spawned, 2 frigates and a battleship are perfect for our Venture. Our drones can take out the frigates and the battleship is not going to be able to touch us. So rat wise we're sorted, really, a perfect spawn. And as long as you don't kill the battleship, I'm pretty sure the game's only going to respawn frigates maybe to go with that battleship. So you can stay here indefinitely. The battleship is kind of blocking the respawn. Now normally on these sites you will only get the regular belt rats for that system, depending on its security status. Here in a 0.3 we just got the battleship here and the 2 Serpentis frigates. Now you can get drones join them, as we'll see later. Just Pet sites will have a herd of drones waiting when on the site, and also a second little spawn of drones that you trigger by going close to a structure. I'll show you that at the end of the video. But as you can see, this battleship can't touch us. We can just get on with the mining, get on with the de-scanning. I'm not alone in local. I've got one friend and one potential foe. Good old Flak Monkey. He helps me out in vids, but he'll hunt me. He's welcome to hunt me anytime. I make it clear to the locals that I'll ask you for help or something to get some footage. But the rest of the time, game on. Who wants to blue everybody? How dull is that, really? Now, two types of rats that can spawn on low-sec asteroid belts, but I've never seen spawn on a signature site like one of these, are clone soldiers and Mordu special warfare units. They are very tough rats, so just leave. You're not going to be able to take them down. You can always just go and reship and come and kill the drones. That's going to depend on how local you are to your home base. The Mordu will also disrupt you in any security status system. In the 0.1, if you were mining there and a clone soldier turned up, he would get a disruptor on you too. Talking of which, since I recorded all of the footage in this video, the changes to warp core stabilizers have taken place. They have no relevance here whatsoever. I'm just keeping an eye on the people coming in local. Always do that. Watch out particularly for people in the same corp, as they're much more likely to work together to come and get you, and that just makes things trickier. Now, at which point you might want to leave or stop mining is completely up to how safe you feel. If you want to leave because there's somebody else in local that you don't know, that's fine. You will build up your confidence over time. Once you've got a nice pile of money in the bank, you'll push your luck a little bit more, and you'll learn where the boundaries really are. But as we'll see, there are things in this game mechanics-wise that still very much work in our favour. Even if we haven't normally got a warp core stabiliser that is just a passive module. Well, of course, this venture in fact has, and if I were to put a warp core stabiliser in the bottom of this, it would be one of the most disruption-proof ships in the game, apart from a deep space transport, I think, as things stand now. Anyway, we are done. We are full of ore, so we are gonna go and dock up. So, no players came to check us out on that particular run, but as I say, the rats can be managed. Now, other spawns, you'll just kill them all. You might get a couple of destroyers, you might get a couple of frigates, a couple of cruisers. They vary. Some you may find too much to handle, especially if you've got lower skills. That's fine. As I say, the best remedy to that is to go and nip into a Tristan, any one little Tech 1 frigate, go and kill them. The rats themselves won't be tough, apart from the Mordu and the clone soldiers. And how many videos are made now showing you what to do if you have a Tech 1 destroyer handy and you find a clone soldier or a Mordu Gamur, for instance. The value of that load of dark ochre, for those that didn't notice, was about 2.7 million, which is the value of the ship. So there you go. Good economics. One load the ship's paid for. The rest is just an adventure. We've now got gas mining signatures in low-sec. Well, they've been in low-sec for ages, but in our region they're very new. And I found quite a nice looking one here. So I'm going to hop some gas. Now, I've got sail-in to myself for the duration of this, and I'm here for about half an hour. I'll do some sums, and yeah, it works out that when I survey scan this field, this is exactly a venture load, and by checking the prices, that's going to be worth about 27 million ISK. Now, to have sail into yourself is very, very exceptional, especially for any length of time. If a crazy little system like sail in will get this quiet sometimes, any system pretty much will. Now, gateway systems into low-sec are always going to have probably the most traffic and the most activity, so you're going to be better off a little way off the beaten path. But you see my point. If you just plod around, take your time, it might be something you do completely opportunistically like I do. And another day we'll look at what happens when I find somebody else's moon mining unattended in low-sec. But that's a story for another day. But the gas signatures are now out here. They can be very good ISK. You do need to pay out, I think it's about 26 million ISK for your gas harvesting skill book. But you can now get that back in one venture load of gas if you can get this whole site to yourself. So you're going to need, I do actually do some sums on my calculator, about 53 minutes with my skills to clear this whole site. But I'm very pleased to report that at no stage through that time do any rats spawn whatsoever, so that's a good thing. It turns out that this gas is used in the production of tracking speed boosters and various other things. That's the whole science of industry. When you get into reactions, all this stuff here, it baffles me. I'm starting to look at it. I'll do a vid when I've figured any of it out, but wow. But anyway, this gas is handy for some of that too. All I'm worried about really is getting a good price for it. Fit wise, I flashed up the fit. Obviously I'm doing this 2.5 times speed because there's not really much to see. Fit wise, I've taken off the mining laser upgrade and put on an inertia stabilizer to get into warp a little bit quicker, and switch to mining lasers for gas harvesters. That is absolutely it. Although the probe launcher is required now because you do have to scan down gas sites. You don't need sisters probes to do it though. And this is me now, back the next morning, getting the other half of the field cleared. I basically did about half an hour. It was quite late. I went to bed. I had to be up for work early in the morning. But while I was checking emails and eating my shreddies, I came out and mined the rest. Luckily, the locals were still having their breakfast too, because they left me be. In fact, I did chat to them. I did say that I'm up here getting gas. They didn't even realise they were spawning here yet. You'll find most low-sec players, no matter how much they shout about their PvP, they've got an alt somewhere quietly doing industry and making money for them. And even if not, it's handy for them to know there might be a new site in the system attracting fresh prey. So that first load of dark ochre paid for the venture itself, and the first load of gas, although it was I think one of the better gases that you could find in low sec, paid for the skill harvesting gas book. So we're quids in. Everything else is profit now. Anyway, now we've got a new ship to look at, Tech 2. The prospect today piloted by Pine Ridge Raider. We've got the covert ops Cloak up there. That's the big thing about this particular ship. We can warp around Cloak. We've got 2 Tech 2 mining lasers. We've got multi-spectrum shield hardener. We've got Tech 2 medium shield extender. We've got the restrained micro warp drive again. We've got 1 inertia stabilizer. We've got 1 nanofiber internal structure. We've got a warp core stabilizer. This was pre-changed, but it's irrelevant today. And we've got 1 mining laser upgrade 1. So this is a little bit of a security fit. Forget the warp core stabilizer. The nanofiber internal structure and the inertia stabilizer are there for us to get off grid as quickly as possible when we need to. The warp core stabilizer is now, because it's active module, a little safety blanket, but it's not getting locked in the first place. That has always been my key tactic. Mining yield is over double that of the venture. It's 307 meters cubed per minute per laser, so each laser is getting more than the venture was in its entirety, and that's with only 1 of the mining laser upgrades. So security is a fine way to go. Yield is nowhere near shabby. And we got twice the ore hold capacity, remember, so that matches the yield boost. So we'll be on grid for about the same amount of time, but we'll get twice the amount of ore. That's pretty good. Rig wise, I've got 1 to close that EM hole, 1 extender, and we're not allowed drones in this hole. We are defenseless apart from our wits and our tank. And if all that goes wrong, our warp core stabilizer, I suppose, whether it's active or passive, it is that little last line of defense. But we're not going to be needing it, not if we do everything properly and we're not facing something too nutty. But you must bear in mind that in the venture we were potentially a 3 million ISK kill mail. We are now a 40 million ISK kill mail waiting to be got. So people are likely to hunt you more actively in a better ship. That is just a fact of low sec life, whether it's a Gila or a prospect compared to a Thorax or a venture, for example. It's also a kill mail. They might invite their friends to share and they'll get a mate involved too. But anyway, let's get out there. We're warping out to the site. Now, landing on grid could potentially be one of the most dangerous parts of this. There are 2 types of hunters. The ones who are going to come find you and creep up on you, or jump you, depending on their capabilities. And the ones that are here waiting for you, whether cloaked or uncloaked. Now, sitting at the warp in a destroyer, just waiting for the prospect to come back after he's gone to unload, is a tactic that can be quite successful if the prospect pilot can't get a D-scan check on the belt before he warps up there and takes it for granted. So do be prepared the moment you land on grid to run away. That is definitely something you need to be ready for. So in this instance, I've moved to a suitable asteroid about 20 kilometers off the warp in, so I know there's a little bit of space, so nobody could just land on me. If you were sat very close to the warp in, anyone could come and land on this site, cloaked or not, and you're close enough to grab and kill, maybe, if you're not paying attention. So get off the mining overview just like that, or you won't even see them coming. And right on cue, the rats spawn. What we got here? We've got 2 cruisers and a frigate, and I'm not scared. Now, for each level of the expedition frigate skill, the prospect gets a bonus of a reduction of 4% to its signature radius, and that's what we're going to put to use here. I'm going to get set up in a nice orbit on the rock we're mining on. Just flicked back onto that mining overview very briefly. I've got no survey scanner on this bit. We've gone for the invulnerability field, as they used to call them. Sorry, the shield hardener. There you go. We've got him on. We're just going to orbit, and we're going to... I'd call it speed tanking. You can call it signature tanking. I'm not using a micro warp drive. That's only going to bloom our signature radius. You could also use restrained shield hardener. That would be an option, but it's working in this instance. These guys, they're going to get a little bit of contact on us. And in fact, here I'm stationary. I'm demonstrating that we've got quite a bit of tank going on anyway, and they're really not good shots. So once we get set up into our little orbit on our rock, we're going to be pretty much immune to these guys. And that's 2 cruisers and a frigate. You'd have thought they'd be reasonably good at applying to a small ship, but not our prospect. As long as we keep moving, we're going to be fine. What we don't want to do is clatter into scenery, and we want to keep an eye on local. And a guy did pop in and out of local there while I was chattering away. That resulted in heightened D-scanning and a state of alert. I've waited for local to be empty to come and get set up. Getting set up on a site and dealing with the rats is obviously going to be a little bit more of a challenge if you've also got a player threat-in system. So you might want to choose your moment, and if you just feel it's a little bit too hectic to kind of get yourself set up with the rats whilst worrying about somebody appearing on your D-scan or on grid, maybe wait a little while, just come back and do it a little bit later. The further you get away from the warp-in, the safer you're probably going to be. If they come up cloaked, they're going to have to get to you cloaked, and that can take them a long time. It gives you more time to kind of be out of the way and hopefully be set up without worrying about somebody immediately getting on top of you. But our prospect is very happy. Running with the shield hardener running, it will keep beeping the capacitor warning at different times, especially if you have used the micro warp drive at all. We're cap stable without the micro warp drive on, even though we're always quite low on cap. Look at that ugly drone that has come to join the party. The ugliest rat that I've ever seen. I've seen these in the abyss. Just kill them all. In this instance, we'll just add him to the ignore list and keep on mining. We're doing very nicely indeed, and the longer local is all ours. And again, like I say, just hang out around systems. You'll get to know when they're busy. You might get to know what the locals' habits are. When they're out and about, you might know that guy's docked. You might know he can't fly cloaky ships because you've chatted to him. Don't trust anyone you don't know who says, oh, don't worry, I'm just going to come up and mine next to you. You could easily be killed up here by a guy in a venture. I don't know how I'd know that. I probably read about it somewhere, eh? We have in fact been joined in local, so we're going to get back to the busy D-scanning. We did get a brief glimpse on the D-scan of his Occator. That doesn't mean he's no threat. He could log in and alt, he could call in a mate, he could go and reship. He knows we're here. If we saw him, he saw us. Do be aware of what you can see on your D-scan in terms of gates, structures, belts, because anyone undocking, you might catch them before they cloak. They will see you when they undock, be aware of that. Sometimes there'll be nothing else on your D-scan at all, and in that case, you know, if anything does appear, it's almost certainly coming your way. Now we've got some core scanner probes up on the D-scan. I'm going to a heightened state of alert. Don't think for one moment all their probes, he's just busy looking for signatures. I don't believe that for a moment. I often drop probes myself as a little bit of a smokescreen. The guy may well be scanning, but I don't know what he's in. He's cloaked, I haven't seen him. Could well be in a stereo, and we don't like those. I've checked how far away all of the signatures are, and they're all within D-scan range. So if he went and hacked anything, he'd be decloaked and we'd spot him, and we're not. So I'm keeping a very close eye on things here. We're getting very close to being full. I like it when my oil hold is full, and I'll hang out as long as I can here. I'm getting quite close to that asteroid and it is slowing me down on the way past, and I don't like that. The downside of speed tanking the rats like this rather than doing anything about them is that I now can't cloak because I'm already locked up. So that's not an option. If you didn't have any rats around, if you felt a little bit wary, you could just cloak up and ride it out. See what's going on. That's entirely up to you. That's not an option for me. I've got to keep going round. I'm getting very wary of what's going on. The probes have been pulled. I'm bouncing off that asteroid. My orbit is so shabby, I think I'm going to leave. I might not be quite full. But yeah, I think it's time to get aligned out. We're going to go around one more time. And you'll see what I mean. The way that my orbit is deteriorated. There you go. Clatter. No, it's definitely time to get out of here. I think there's probably somebody hunting me. And I need to warp out. Now remember, this is before the changes to the warp core stabilizers, so it's still a passive module, so I'm not paying that any attention, but I'm getting aligned out now, and almost right on cue, there he is, the Astero, and I'm on the way out already. Now he's got his decloak delay, and that is your window of opportunity regardless of the warp core stabilizer to get away. That delay is going to vary, and it can be mitigated down with a trick fit with rigs, etc. But they're quite rare. So when someone decloaks on you, you have got a window to get out before they can lock you. And that is what you're going to need to do as the real tactic. The warp core stabilizer, because you've only got that little window to activate it and get out, is your backup. You shouldn't really need it. Now the fact that I knew what was going on in local, and that was making me very nervous, and I was already leaving because the orbit was crap. The guy had pulled his probes. I had no idea what he was. I hadn't checked his kill board, but I didn't really need to. That comes with experience, and I strongly urge you to get that experience in a venture before you put yourself out there in a prospect. Or indeed an endurance. But before we go to the endurance, we'll have a quick chat about this week's giveaway. And it is this skin right here, of course, the Scope Syndication skin for the Procurer. Since we're doing mining, here's one for you miners. I need comments down below with your in-game name in the comment, please. Could you just tell me how you're getting on with the low-sec mining? Not so much about the warp core stabilizer stuff. I've got the feedback from the video I did demonstrating the changes there, so do have a look at that if you're not familiar. I really want to know how you're getting on with these mining anomalies and the gas signatures. Are you finding them lucrative? Are you finding them profitable? I'll choose 8 relevant comments, pretty much at random. If there's a bit of a tiebreaker involved, it'll basically just be randomized, and I shall be announcing the winners later this week. With regards to Guy hunting me on this or indeed any occasion, I'm looking him up on the kill board after the event. If you just go to Z kill board, you type in the character's name up there in the search bar, and you'll get all you need to know about him. But you know, you mustn't be angry with the person who hunts you, even if they do get you. They're part of the ecosystem. I know from experience there is no NPC kind of rat justification for the extra loot you will get in low sec, no matter what your activity is if you're doing it right. The only thing that makes it harder and therefore deserving of the extra loot is the players. If they weren't there, low sec just wouldn't be a thing and the loot wouldn't be there for you to get. They also want the loot too. There's certainly a competition element there, to be sure. But to be quite honest with you, the players that seem to come to low sec with the mentality of, oh, but I'm only here for the rats or the rocks or the loot, so why are you engaging me? It's not fair. That's not what I'm here for. No, it just doesn't wash. This isn't high sec just with much better loot boxes. The players are the difference, and you should appreciate that. Try hunting yourself. It's actually quite fun. And once you get some confidence, you will find being hunted is quite fun too, because it's you messing with their head. The initiative is not always theirs. Don't let it be. You are not simply a lamb to the slaughter. And what I'm doing here on his kill board is a very useful thing, is looking up his Astero fit. You look up where he's lost one in a fight, and it's quite possibly the same fit he was coming at you with. And if you like a fit, if you're logged into the ZKill website, you can save it straight to your in-game character's fit screen. It's quite a handy thing to do. I'm a little bit unsure of what happened to this guy here. That's the rat from the hunt site last room. He's in nullsec. He's got a warp core stabilizer fitted, obviously before the changes. I don't know whether he was in the wrong place at the wrong time there. Anyway, last but by no means least, we have the Endurance. Now, its special skill is ice mining, but the yield we're going to get from its single ore miner, 607 meters cubed a minute, which is just shy of the Prospect, and again about double a whole venture. Next up, we've got the prototype Cloak 1. We get no velocity penalty in the Endurance for moving around Cloaked, so we can move around Cloaked on grid at full speed. Obviously, without this micro warp drive burning. We've got the restrained shield extender, we've got a survey scanner, because we've got 4 mid slots now, and we've got again the multi-spectrum shield hardener Tech 2. I've gone for 3 mining laser upgrades to boost the yield, just to max it out. The drone bay can hold 6 drones, we can fly 3 at once, so we've got 3 Hornet 1s and we've got 3 Hornet ECM drones. There's a couple of options, fight or evade, depending mainly on their rats or player, but we'll talk about engagement when we're outside in space. Rigs wise, I've closed the EM hole, I've got 1 shield extender. The core probe launcher is turned off at the moment, so I had enough CPU to turn on 3 mining laser upgrades. Simple as that. Now, rather than the signature radius bonus that the Prospect got, the Endurance gets a shield resistance bonus of 4% per level of Endurance frigate. It is the tankiest of them. Not that we're here to tank and take damage, of course. We're going to cloak up as soon as we've got on grid. Now, I've warped to 10 kilometers within a bookmarked asteroid. I'd strongly recommend that you do bookmark an asteroid the first time you go up to a belt. It saves a lot of messing around. So I'm going to stay cloaked up until I kind of feel comfortable, get an impression, is this guy flying around in a ship or not. Once I'm happy, I'll decloak, get the asteroid locked up, and we'll get to mining, but we will keep de-scanning very, very carefully. There are no rats obviously on the site at this stage. They've got killed earlier. There's not much of this site left, to be honest. The local corp do come out en masse and mine these out hard. I really am nipping out here, kind of a little bit of a ninja, grabbing what I can. And again, another very attractive lighting effect up here on the site. I'm just going to keep de-scanning and de-scanning, get as much of this stuff as I can. My warp 2 location is now pre-selected. All I've got to do is press 1 button. Now I'm out of here. It's only really Isogen I want, so as long as I can get all the dark ochre, Crocite will just be a bonus. So let's see. I'm not sure about this at all. There's no indication of anybody at all on the D-scan, but they don't need to scan where I am, so that's not really much of an indicator. Now, if somebody does decloak on us or whatever on the belt, the last thing we're going to do is try to fight them, get the drones on them. Remember, as soon as you aggress back at them, then you're in engagement. They can chase you out into high sec. You won't be able to dock or use a gate if you've got a timer running on you. So the best thing to do, the only thing we really want to do when they take you by surprise, is you just run away. That's all you need to do. I'm going to start on the Crocite now. Run out of dark ochre. There's a lot of Crocite up here, by the way. You could bring up some barges and have a nice long mining session. Security is your own responsibility, of course. But yeah, don't mess about, just get out. One ship that has no decloak delay is a Manticore, or stealth bomber I should say. Manticores are popular. They're going to come at you with rockets. The thing about rocket Manticores is they're very flimsy. They've got no tank and they've got no bonus for those rockets. You can kill them with a battle heron. You can kill them with a battle venture. You will get to the stage, you know, if there's somebody hanging around your neighborhood, stalking people in a Manticore, go out and bait them, kill them, fight them. You're in a 3 mil venture, they're in a 30 mil Tech 2 ship. Go on, what have you got to lose? Just run in there with your blasters and rip their face off. Well, we got some Crocite in the ore hold, and we're still de-scanning, nothing of note. But there's a Tengu, there you go, right on us. There's a Tengu. We're out of here. Now, he's got his decloak delay. He's a bigger ship as well, so in general, his locking time is going to be longer even after that delay. And we're gone. We can give him a nice hearty friendly wave in local and be on our way. Remember, the Endurance has got the 15,000 cubic meter ore hold. I'm going to take Crankbottom, her Endurance here, out for a bit more of a roam. You might well get chased off of sites quite regularly, whether you're just taking it easy or somebody actually does come after you. But we'll see how it goes. I think I'll find plenty of windows if I just potter around to find the signatures and find opportunities to get up there, grab some for as long as I can. If somebody comes at you, you just dock up, wait for them to move on, or you just go away yourself and find somewhere else to do it. Don't be too persistent in a location that is a real pain in the butt to really get busy in. Just go and find somewhere else that is a little bit quieter and a little bit more accommodating to your needs. But I think we'll call it an episode there for now. We'll look at the Jazzbet sites when we are out on that roam, and that will be in the very near future. So subscribe if you want to get a notification. Click the bell too, so you do know when the next episode's out. I'll be announcing the giveaway winners in the week. Leave us any kind of comment, suggestion, feedback, or better information than I've got. I'm always happy to be educated, and the subs do. You know, I've learned things making these videos. I'm very happy to say that. Leave it a like, please, if you liked it, because that really does help with the channel. And the message of the day really is, guys, just give it a go. Don't convince yourself that the other guys have got all the advantage. I remember when this particular system, Anne, was big and scary to me. It almost felt cold when I was in here. But now, someone comes at me in here, it's water off a duck's back. Sometimes it will all go wrong. That's okay, that's part of the game. If we didn't lose ships, the economy would collapse, guys. Please don't have the mentality that losing a ship is some kind of shame and that the person that killed it is some kind of hideous monster, because this is Eve and that's what it's about. If someone kills you and they're a dick about it, then fine, they're a dick, but that's different. So we'll leave it there. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Remember, Eving is believing, and it's belief in yourself that is the most important kind. But for now, take care and goodbye.